Well, can't see a thing in this mist, and we're out of gas. And there's something really big out there, going boom, 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 out there in the mist. Not down for it, folks. There's 5 of us here. Only 4 bullets left in this. Bagsy first! Boom! Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. And welcome to the Let's Talk About Remakes channel all over again. Because we've got another remake. Oh, it's like an epidemic of remakes. Not only have we got a fantastic adaptation of Stephen King's The Mist, his 1980 novella from the Skeleton Crew collection. I was going to bring down my book, A Skeleton Crew, my original first British UK paperback edition. But of course, the Kilt Mansion spook must have been way ahead of me because it's gone into the mists of the other realm within the Kilt Mansion. And a great, fantastic study of people under paranoia in a really dreadful situation. The mist descended on a Maine town, of course. A ragtag bunch of survivors hole up in a supermarket. Shades of Dawn of the Dead, anybody? And all sorts of horrible critters, spidery bugs and tentacles and things are out there. And if you go out into the mist, that's it, you're gone. But the humans turn on each other. And it's King once again, realising that people under duress become the worst monsters of all. So, flash forward to 2007, which is a long time, it's almost 20 years ago. Frank Darabont, yes, the great Frank Darabont, who knows a thing or two about Stephen King adaptations, delivered his movie adaptation of The Mist in 2 versions, a colour version and a black and white version. And you guys know how much I love black and white movies. They're my go-to cosy nostalgia blankets. However, I actually preferred The Mist in colour, so go figure. And of course, The Mist, with a great cast of Thomas Jane, awesome Thomas Jane, Marcia Gay Harden, who's horrible in this, but a wonderful actress, Bill Sadler, Demon Knight himself, Andre Braugher, and a couple of guys from The Walking Dead. Forgotten their names now, hang on a minute. Jeffrey DeMunn, who was Dale, and who's the other one? Laurie Holden, who played whoever in The Walking Dead. But it's a great, strong ensemble cast, and even though the film has plenty of grisly effects and critters on the loose, and lots of suspense and tense action sequences, it's about the characters themselves, and you get to know them and how their factions will devolve into 2 warring groups, demanding a sacrifice because it's the end of days sort of thing. Marcia Gay Harden becomes this huge evangelist, prophet of the apocalypse. You've got soldiers from the Arrowhead Project over the lake. It's something to do with that. And these soldiers know it is something to do with it. They've unleashed something in experiments to find other dimensions. So they get sacrificed and it's super, super horrible. But that ending, folks, that ending to this, the wailing lament from Lisa Gerrard, The Dead Can Dance and all that. Just one bunch of survivors. Thomas Jane and his son, his young son, the girl from Walking Dead, the guy from Walking Dead and his missus, I think it's his missus anyway, in the back seat, and the station wagon runs out of fuel. They've discovered that back home at Thomas Jane's ranch, his wife's dead, cocooned and spiderized, nothing to live for. The mist is unending. There's massive big prehistoric beasts out there. It's all Lovecraftian. It's all the old ones running rampage in our realm. So he realises, look, there's nothing down for us. So he gets the revolver out and he makes that decision. Everyone else seems to agree with him, let's just do it. But he has to kill his own son as well. Only 4 bullets, so there's no bullet for himself. And then just as he's done that and he's howling and wailing his rage at this scenario, the army turns up. The mist begins to evaporate. They've got flamethrowers and hazmat suits on, and they're burning all the monsters from the trees and all that, like. And there's trucks full of survivors going past, and they're looking at this poor guy at the roadside with his station wagon. Are you all right, sir? We've come to rescue you. Are you okay? What's the matter? No, we're the cavalry. We arrived in the nick of time. Oh, are these your friends inside the... Oh, they've all been shot in the head. You're holding a gun. Sir? Oh, God. And it left you reeling in absolute shock, horror and revulsion. And it is a dreadful, dreadful scenario. Thomas Jane, his character, is not wrong. He's not wrong for what he's done, because it's a hopeless scenario from their perspective. Who's to know they're going to be rescued just scant seconds later? But it leaves you reeling. And it's, you know, as enjoyable as many elements of The Mist can be, you know, the action set pieces, the grisly bits and all that, but it's a really grim movie. The human protagonists, you hate half of them, and you just kill her, which of course they do kill Marcia Gay Harden. She takes a slug. Well, not one of the slugs from the other realm, but a slug, you know, through the bonds. And but humans crumbling in the face of disaster, something inescapable. Cheers, you all. Oh, Antonio Bay. They know a thing or two about mist and fog, do they not? Cheers. It's a wonderful film, but not one that I seek to return to often. In fact, I haven't seen it for years. That's why I've forgotten the characters' names and all that. But Thomas Jane plays a comic book or illustrator, or the illustrator for novels, and you do see Drew Struzan's fantastic, iconic, original cinematic poster for The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, which is very Lovecraftian, of course, hence why it's here. I have no canvases or posters of misty things or the fog. Nothing. I've looked, trust me, the spook hasn't nicked them. I didn't have them in the first place. So we'll make do with Lovecraftian stuff. But it's not a film I return to, and but it's a film I hold in high regard because of the strong emotions which it evokes. It's also a very faithful adaptation of King's prose. And, you know, apart from the ending of the novella, in case, well, spoilers ahead, folks, but having just spoiled the film for you, at the end, it's a very similar ending, but they hear on the radio that it's another human voice saying something in the garbled, fuzzy exchanges with the mist getting involved in the radio signals, but there's another human voice out there, so there's a vestige of hope that there's other humans out there somewhere, and they could maybe meet up, and maybe you can survive this. But the film gives no such illusion of hope, not for our main heroes anyway. So the film, other than that, is very, very faithful to the characters and the story. Why would you remake it? Well, because we're living in an era where that's all that Hollywood seems able to do. Remake stuff, reimagine stuff, reboot stuff, sequelize stuff, prequelize stuff, sidequelize stuff. Oh, tranquilize stuff, please. But who's doing it? Mike Flanagan. Busy boy Mike Flanagan. Yes, of all the TV shows. Oh, Hill House, House of Usher, Bly Manor. Is that one of them? I can't remember now. Done so many. But of course, he's done Stephen King adaptations before. Gerald's Game, Doctor Sleep. I'm sure there's something else as well, which I can't remember. So he also has an affinity for King's material. Oh, and he's working on something massively unnecessary as well. The Carrie TV series. A TV series for Carrie, Stephen King again. Why do we need a TV show about Carrie? What more are you going to tell about Carrie White that we don't get in the movie and in the original book? What? I'm asking you, what more are you going to get? It doesn't lend itself to a TV series. But he's doing it, and of course he's doing The Exorcist with ScarJo, which I've discussed. Again, we don't know a great deal about that, and although Blumhouse have fucked up with their Exorcist Believer with their DGG behind it, and I ripped that a new one, didn't I? as you guys remember. Well, that supposed trilogy got kiboshed, but of course Mike Flanagan gets brought on board. Well, we still want to do an Exorcist movie, so please come on board, do one. Well, although we don't know a great deal about what's forthcoming with Mike Flanagan's Exorcist take, it's not going to be a remake of the original. It's not going to be much of a follow-on from it. It's going to be its own thing, just under the title of The Exorcist. Although, given the way things are, that may change as well. But so he's a busy boy, but unstoppable. It's like a juggernaut. Yeah, I'm going to do The Mist. We don't need a remake of The Mist. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it that Frank Darabont, who is a grand master at these things, that he hasn't already done? And he delivered the shock punch of that conclusion. So Mike Flanagan can't equal that. And whether you like that ending or you don't, it affected you in some way or other, made you hate it, or made you like just really shrivel inside and part of your soul was destroyed. Because you're there with Thomas Jane and the most unthinkable, earth-shattering decision he's got to make, and make it on behalf of other people who actually do agree with it. Although I think his son's asleep at the time, like, and then wakes up just to see a gun barrel in his face. Dad? Boom! Oh God! Oh, it's horrific. So how can you top that? Well, you can't. You just can't. So what is the point of doing this? Just before I did this video, and I was doing a little bit of sort of research, I discovered, which I didn't know previously, that there was a TV mini-series made out of The Mist as well, which came out a few years ago. Have any of you seen that? I didn't even know it existed. What did that do? How did that transpire? The fact that no one talks about it, and on all the platforms where all this news about, what's his name? Not Frank Darabont. Who's the guy? Mike Flanagan. God. But all the news about this is festering now and causing untold amounts of arguments, some for, some against, as you'd expect in the remake merry-go-round. But no one's talking about this TV miniseries that came out. So, what did they do with that? Who made it? What happened? Was it another faithful telling of the movie itself, of the novella? So did it copy Frank Darabont's adaptation? Or was it another bunch of people in a different location submerged by the mist? Because that could be done. You could do it that way. Damn it. Have we just unravelled how they're going to go about this? It won't be the same bunch of characters. It won't be King's novella. It'll be a different bunch of people undergoing a different sort of siege aspect, fighting off tentacles and monsters and flying beasties and big spideroid things. Could be. But that's not what they've said. They've said it's an adaptation of King's novella. But it's early days yet. That's the thing to remember. It's very early days. And, you know, he's a very, very busy boy. Carrie, Exorcist, and I'm sure there's something else he's got lined up as well. So this is going to be really shoved down the back burner a bit. But even so, 2007, it came out. That seems like a hell of a long... It's almost 20 years ago. But I remember watching it when it first came out and being absolutely horrified. I enjoyed it in an angsty sort of way because it got me so riled. That Marcia Gay Harden. It's the mark of a really good actor that they can make you hate them so much on screen. Or they're just playing a villain. But you know, most villains in movies, you go like, oh, they're just playing a villain. They're delivering the lines. They've got to be boo-hissable, you know. But you're not really bothered about them. But she got under your skin because the way she turned people as well. Because people, you get in times of strife and difficulty, turmoil. Some people rise up and become leaders, whether they're for a good cause or a bad cause. They've got the general good of the people at heart, or they're going to turn into a tyrant. But people, a lot of people are like sheeple. They will flock to one or the other. So you get factionalized, you get tribalized. And that King realized this. And I think King's frightened more about not what lies beyond, but other people. And times of, you know, disaster. To be caught up in that, you could be a victim, not of the disaster itself, but of the repercussions, the human repercussions of it. And that's always played on his mind. All his books are very, well, you know how complex they get with all the psychosis of everybody, every character, the ins and outs of their id. I gave up on King stuff many, many years ago. Probably after, what was the last one I read? Probably, I think the last one I enjoyed would be It and Christine, Pet Sematary maybe. I think I did read Misery. But anything after that, I just didn't bother with. I don't know, I just couldn't. You know, why would he use one sentence when 50, 80 pages will do? He just writes and writes and writes. Just hone it down, man. Hone it down. Jesus. Of course, people still love his stuff. Words are his power. And I don't dispute that. He's a master storyteller. And he comes up with some great ideas, obviously. But his style is not for me anymore. I just gave up. Just get to the fucking point, you know, man. Jesus. Oh, he's still sniffing cocaine? Cocaine was good. See, me and drugs, I know nothing about them. Do you even sniff cocaine? Is that what you do with it? I don't know what you do with it. I've got caffeine here. Yeah. Still, folks, there's no alcohol in the hizzy. Don't go thinking I've become very abstemious. No, I haven't. I've yet to go to the pub, which I'll be doing very shortly. Cheers, y'all. But The Mist. As I say, it's a wonderful, powerful film. Thomas Jane, I think, is a great actor. He can play a great everyman, he can play a great hero. I mean, I've discussed his work before. I love his version of The Punisher. That film is not a great film, but I like his take on The Punisher, if you know what I mean. And Deep Blue Sea, outstanding. He's superb. He's the everyman with a bit of a history, bit of a background. But even though it's an action, sort of very bland, one note, excuse me, sort of characterization, and he's just lumbering around in a wetsuit half the time, like, or you know, a bit of muscle on show. But when the chips are down, and again he's faced with an option. Well, not an option, but when they climb into that shaft, the ladder, and the sharks are down below, and the ladder gives way, and Jacqueline Mackenzie like falls into the shark, and it comes up with it in its mouth, and he's trying to, like cliffhanger, you're not gonna fall, you're not gonna die. Yeah, she gets chomped. Yeah, good style. You're like, oh my god, and he's hanging on the ladder like that, which has gone across the chasm, and suddenly at the doorway above, you hear banging on that, and it cuts to Thomas Jane's face, and it's brilliant. It's heartbreaking and harrowing, because he just thinks the sharks are above us as well, you know, and he's looking down like that, and he just goes, and he's been the hero, he's been the go-to guy in every scenario they've had so far, but you can see that he's just gone, oh no, and he's given up, and he actually shudders as well. I think that's great. It humanises, you know, even your heroes. Of course, it is the shark up there. It's LL Cool J and a parrot. But Thomas Jane's a great actor. Sadly, he's in The Predator as well for Shane Black. Oh dear. He's not bad in it, but everything else is bad about the bloody movie. But I like Thomas Jane, so give him a role in a new version. I don't know where they're going to go with it. And looking at all the sites and the platforms, most people don't want this to happen. But you've got someone going, well, Mike Flanagan can do this, he can do that, you know, he can do anything by the sound of things. If anyone can breathe new life into it, then, or do something different, he's the man. Maybe that's right, maybe that's the case. But it's just, how sick and tired are you all of like hearing, oh, we're going to remake this, do another adaptation of that. Oh, it's nothing new under the sun, nothing new that can be done. It's always got to be a sequel, an endless, you know, run of the same character, the same story, same scenario, over and over and over again. I mean, we had this with Halloween and Friday the 13th, but the 80s was an era of that, and it was great. He didn't mind the next instalment, even though it was the same old stuff being retrodden over. He didn't mind it. But now we've moved on. Or I thought we'd moved on. Seemingly not. I mean, are we going to remake Star Wars? Are we going to remake Lord of the Rings? Very probably. Are we going to remake Jaws? No. But you know they want to. And of course they want to remake that. Blumhouse really itching to get frozen hell off the ground. That's what they want to call it, but it's the thing. Dear God. Make it stop. Make it stop. It's like we're in the car at the end of the world. Mist is everywhere. Horrible trans-dimensional dinosaurs and big spideroids are everywhere. We've got a couple of bullets left. Who'd you shoot? You shoot the people who are making remakes in the backseat. Goodbye, boom. Goodbye, boom. Right. Now to battle spiders. Yes. I don't know, folks. It's a never-ending cycle of recycling. Maybe that's what's going on. We're all meant to recycle things, aren't we? For the betterment of the ecology and the environment and Mother Earth. So recycling. Don't make new films. New films. It burns up new ideas, new neurons, new neurons and synapses. So we're burning up stuff in your own mind. No, just regurgitate things that's been done before. Recycle them, repurpose them. Right, folks. But do comment below and let me know. I'll be back later on with a much bigger video. Something which I was in the pub yesterday. Hey, quelle surprise! I went in to watch the Wales v France in the Rugby Six Nations. I knew Wales would be dismantled completely from the first few seconds, which they were. It was an absolute travesty of a game. Wales didn't even bother, didn't need to turn up. They couldn't have lost by a greater margin if they had turned up. But of course, the day before, Scotland beat England. Scotland, oh aye, beat England. Fucking great it was. And then Liverpool won later on. And I had a great day in the pub that day. But I went in yesterday, this was, to go and watch the Wales v France game. But as I walked in, all the fiddle farters, the Irish, were all and the tub thumpers, we're all sitting there. I've talked about them before. Usually at the start of the month or the very end of a month, they all congregate and they fill this pub on a Sunday afternoon, and it drives you mad because every single song, there's no lyrics, it's just music, but every single shanty, every single jig sounds exactly the same as the one before it and the one that's going to come after it. So it's just one complete continuous drone of and it just drives you insane. So no one goes in. So I walked in, I was meeting my mate as well, who I watched the rugby with, and he wasn't there. So I realised he clearly must have walked in earlier and gone like, and he's a Wales supporter. It's probably best he didn't turn up, to be honest. He must have walked in and gone, oh, screw that, turn around, gone somewhere else. But I put up with it though. But while I was sitting there, and he couldn't hear the commentary, I got a TV, I was sitting in a different room, but they filled all the front. And they were on till 4 o'clock, which obviously demolished any commentary I could hear for the first half of the game. And this was just taking over, brainwashing me. But I began to think of ideas for videos, as I often do in the pub. And I stumbled upon one, which you're going to see later on. And that's a video that could go on a little bit. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying there? It could run on and on. It's one of those where, you know, I wish you were all actually able to speak back to me, add your own little ideas. Yes, it's one of those. We're going to list a lot of stuff, and I mean probably quite a lot of stuff. But we'll have some fun doing it though. What? No hints as to what it is yet, but it involves spacecraft. But it's a little idea I had while I was in the pub. And then I thought, like, surely I've done this topic before. I had a little look on the channel. I couldn't find. If I have, I couldn't find it. And if I have, so what? Let's redo it. Because everyone else is remaking things. I'll remake my own videos. There you go. Even I'm under the spell myself. Oh God. So, the mist, the red mist is descending right now. Folks, please, in the meantime, as ever, misty-eyed in between time, please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all. So you've actually been hearing Mark Isham's score for The Mist, which Darabont's always said I use very minimal music because music takes over movies and derails the actual situation that the human beings, the characters are involved in. And I like that to speak for itself. Although the music's pretty eerie and pretty, damn effective. But let's end, of course, on Dead Can Dance. The host of Seraphim, I think it's actually genuinely called, which is Lisa Gerrard, whose voice is just unbelievable. Yes, Gladiator, yeah. And loads of other things, which I can't remember right now. I'm getting old, folks, I really am. And look at this face. You go back to my earlier videos and I was like, spelt like. Yeah. This may as well be like a lament for my disastrous visage these days. I'm very vain, folks, I am. I wouldn't be normally, but I'm looking at myself right now. I don't like what I see. So as well, what you can comment on, what would you do in that nightmare scenario at the very end? It looks hopeless to you. Do you cling to hope? Do you cling to some, look, we gotta hang on, whether we'll walk as a group and we'll keep fighting every step of the way? Or do you just go, Thomas James realised that his wife is dead. And he's got these people that he doesn't even know properly, but he's got his son with him. You're going to subject your son to being slowly paralysed and digested by tentacular creatures out there that can do all. They don't just. These things are fucking horrible, They do things which from another dimension. So all the victims were all like, twisted and and the spiders. They're not like your average cellar dweller. Your normal arachnids, and believe you me, I know about arachnids and what they can do to you, having been the recipient of not one but 2 horrific spider bites. But these spiders, they're something different. They're hissy and frothy, and they've got loads and loads of fangs, and they're like, God. So what would you do? I've always been one of those that fight on. Just fight until your last breath, always. I've always been that way. I'm not sure that's the case these days. When you're singing, when do you learn that, look, I'm not going to do pop ditties, I'm not going to rap, I'm going to sing wailing, tragic laments? It's a very sort of Greek thing, I suppose. What they call them, not the sirens, what do they call them? Well, the Greek tragedy singers. Wailing over the loss of heroes on funeral pyres and all that, like. I think they term this as like sort of neo-romanticism, neo-gothic perhaps. But Mrs. Kilt-Man would say, bloody miserable is what I call it. Bloody miserable. So what would you do? Just put yourself in Thomas Jane's predicament. You've got family members there. You may have strangers there, but in a scenario like that, even strangers that you've got to know may be the last people you're ever going to be around. So suddenly they will become very important, crucial. Hey, they're remaking The Mist. Whoa! The saddest, most despairing bloody conclusion ever put in movies. Some other pretty sad ones. Donnie Brasco suddenly came to mind there. Al Pacino suddenly realising, look, oh shit, I brought this guy on the inside, and now I've got to go and pay the price and get whacked, and probably not in a good way either. But duty bound, he still goes out to meet his demise. And there's many others. I think the conclusion to The Mist, it's definitely the most harrowing, but it's almost on a par with the conclusion to The Thing, which of course is an ambiguous ending. And yes, I've talked about it a lot over the years, and I think it's the perfect conclusion to a film like The Thing, where it's left to your imagination. People don't like that, you see. At least this film doesn't leave anything to your imagination. It's told you right up front, he's just killed everybody, and now the mist is gone. The greatest dull moment in any genre. If I just waited. You just grab that soldier's gun, like, just fucking shoot me now. Well, anyway, folks, on that cheery note, I'm going to see you all laters and think spacecraft. Bye.